and Dwayne Wade right at the bottom of Anderson Varejao. Welcome to your Kodak moment, Anderson Varejao.
Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Welcome back to the BSPN radio show. Today, Max, we got the playoffs going on. We had the NFL draft last week.
Yep.
But honestly, what I really want to talk about more than anything is other stuff going on in the league. So we are going to talk playoffs a little this week, but it's going to be more focusing on some other stuff.
Some other news.
Yep. But to start out with, let's talk some playoffs. As much as I may want to avoid it.
Exactly.
We have the second round going on right now.
Yes, we do.
And, the West, Warriors, Rockets, everyone was saying that the Rockets were going to challenge again this year. Doesn't really look like it. A lot of people blaming the refs. I don't really agree with that. The end of Game 2 looked like the refs were trying to give the Rockets that game. Didn't work out. Then we got the Blazers and Nuggets. Blazers managed to take one in Denver. So it's 1-1 on the series.
Yeah. And it really speaks to. I think this speaks to both teams. Just because, Denver's a really hard place to play in.
Yeah, because of the fucking
air,
yeah.
and all that, and so credits to Portland.
Yeah,
for doing that. We have Milwaukee and Boston in the East. Tie 1-1.
This has been the least interesting, hella fucking contested series.
Yeah. Because
Game 1, Celtics just blew the Bucks out of the water. And then Game 2 was the other way around.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this series plays out. And then we have the Sixers and Raptors tied 1-1. What do you think about that one, Tilo?
So we got two teams I'm a hater of in these playoffs right now. We got the Rockets and we got the Sixers. Sixers winning was confusing to me because, for those who don't know, Joel Embiid had explosive diarrhea Game 2. That was the report. He had explosive diarrhea. I hate how the Sixers built their roster. I don't think Tobias Harris was a worthwhile trade. We've talked about this. But to me, the biggest thing is that the Sixers got kind of lucky.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry keeps laying an egg. The Raptors really only have two performers. They got Pascal Siakam and Kawhi Leonard. The bench unit hasn't been great in the playoffs. Marc Gasol, although he's been good defensively, has not been great offensively. Hasn't been making his shots.
And Kyle Lowry's been known to do this.
Kyle Lowry's been known to do this to the point that there was rumors of a Valanciunas Lowry swap for Gasol and Conley. They would be in a better situation now with that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
But I do still have the Raptors winning this. I think Game 3 will be a pivotal point.
Absolutely.
If we get back to the Raptors having home court, they're going to win the series. If the Sixers need to defend the home court.
Yeah, and they just need to play their hearts out.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting series. To me, the biggest matchup to look out for is what can Ben Simmons do? Because, Embiid, these playoffs, he's been kind of not great. It's just his health, which has been the biggest knock on him his whole career.
Yeah. And
Marc Gasol being this strong guy, just constantly not allowing Embiid to bully him. That's been huge. And I think it's going to come down to, can Ben Simmons actually dominate in that role? Because you're not going to get 30 points per game from Butler. You're just not. He can give you that 130 point, and you've used it up already. Tobias Harris, unless you give him a bigger role, is just a glorified floor spacer at this point. And you look at that Raptors team, the biggest thing for me is that everyone has a role.
Yeah.
And Kawhi's been playing great, out of his mind great. Pascal Siakam's averaging something like 23 points per game.
He's been balling the entire season.
It's just going to come down to Kyle Lowry making shots or Ben Simmons actually doing something off ball.
Exactly. But Kyle Lowry really needs to step up.
Kyle Lowry needs to do something.
Yeah.
Like, I could legitimately see the Raptors just offloading him this offseason, even if Kawhi stays.
Yeah.
Like, if they can get something decent there.
Because he's also getting old.
Yeah. I mean, it's not looking...
It's looking good for the Raptors. It's not looking good for Kyle Lowry.
I'm not sure it's looking good for the Raptors either.
It's looking better for the Raptors than it is for Kyle Lowry.
DeMar DeFrozen.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my favorite series so far, other than the Warriors-Rockets series, because I love seeing team basketball beat out iso ball, even though KD does a lot of iso ball.
Right, but it's still different.
It's within boundaries.
Yeah.
As opposed to, hey, let me dribble the ball 14 times in 8 seconds and then just step back and shoot a 3.
Exactly.
Also, James Harden of all people cannot complain about the refs.
Yeah, the refs the refs have been a controversy all season, like whether it's the players, whether it's the refs, whether it's
Look, I think the refs in this series have been really good. In the Warriors-Rockets series have been really good in my opinion. Game 1, there was one bad call, but then there was also like 3 bad calls, offensive fouls on James Harden that went the other way.
I don't know. I think at the end of that game, the refs were, it was something funky was going on.
There was the foul by Clay. That was the only real one to me. There was the missed call on Curry that would have fouled him out. But then there was the James Harden went in and it was called a blocking foul instead of a charge. That was big because it kept the Rockets in the game. There was the play at the end of game 2 where Iguodala just goes up to tap the ball to Curry. Curry throws back a tomahawk for no reason.
Yeah.
And they call the foul on Iggy. I'd say at that point you just let them play. Also, they kept giving the Rockets like these bullshit fouls that weren't actually a thing. And so, I mean, game 1 was leaning slightly to the Warriors. I'll give them that. But at the same time, game 2 was leaning to the Rockets, and the Warriors still won it. Okay. So, I mean, that's just how calls are going to work. Like, no ref is perfect. If Rockets fans really want to complain that a series was rigged, go watch Lakers against Kings. Just go watch that. That's how you rig a game.
That's how you really rig a game.
Yeah, this is not a game being rigged.
Mm-mm.
This is a game with back and forth officiating because both teams are pushing the refs to their limit by every time just trying to get a foul call.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You considering how many times every player is going to get hit instead of actually like shooting and making the shot is absurd. And the fact that refs have been like, okay, I'm not going to give you that, even if it's like if it's a more obvious call because you've been falling on the ground and splaying your legs out every time. I have no problem with that. I also have no problem. I have a serious problem with the Rockets of all teams complaining about the refs over and over and over again, and also bringing up last year's series and saying, "Oh, but we want to." Iguodala didn't play the whole series.
Mm-mm.
Talk about Chris Paul. You got to talk about Iguodala. That's my biggest thing. I don't like the Rockets. We've been over this.
We have been over this. All right, let's go into some news.
We got to talk, my guy. We got to talk Bucks, Celtics, and Blazers, Nuggets a little.
Okay.
At least a little.
Okay.
Bucks, Celtics. We saw Al Horford completely take advantage of Giannis game 1 and Giannis come back.
Mm-hmm.
That was great to see. I mean, people were talking about how Middleton's an underrated player. Middleton should not be a number 2. That's just a testament to the greatness of Giannis.
Yeah. When Middleton, yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. When Middleton is your number 2 guy, you got to have a pretty good number 1.
To me, what they have is they have Giannis as a number 1, like a clear-cut number 1, and then they have Bledsoe and Middleton as
it's like
number 3s acting as number 2s.
It's like whoever performs better is considered the number 2, but it's really Giannis, and then
it's Giannis and hey, shooters.
Exactly, it's like Giannis, and then other people put the ball in the basket at some point.
I think the Bucks can steal a game in the TD Garden. I think that's going to be huge.
If they do, that would be huge.
Yeah, I'm currently bigger on Jaylen Brown than Jason Tatum, just because I think. For the Celtics at least, let's say. In terms of trade assets, I think Jason Tatum is still a higher value trade asset because the ability to make a shot is so huge, make your own shot. But Jaylen Brown is definitely more sure in what he's doing.
And I feel he's a more confident. Yeah, exactly. He's a more confident
incredibly smart, and sometimes that gets in his own way with trying to be too much of a team player. But he knows what he's doing, and you're never gonna get like a really, really bad decision.
Yeah,
you might get some questionable ones, but like you watch Jaylen Brown play, he's always going to be playing smart, and that is hugely valuable for a playoff team.
I also think he's more. I think he's more reliable.
Yeah.
Than Jason Tatum. Even
Jason Tatum will go off for like 30 one night, or then he'll have like 8.
Exactly.
Which Kyrie Irving did too, but we're not going to talk about that.
But Kyrie Irving's Kyrie Irving.
Look, we got to keep the hype bus going on Kyrie Irving to the Knicks.
Exactly.
Then we got Blazers and Nuggets.
I think Blazers win it.
I think the Nuggets have done what I thought the Spurs would have done to them. The Nuggets have not been able to play defense. They haven't been able to abuse the pick and roll like they should have on Enes Kanter. The Blazers, on the other hand, are doing exactly that. I've been saying this all year. Jokic is not a better individual player than Karl Anthony Towns.
We don't got to talk about this again.
We don't. Karl Anthony Towns defensively can at least step up on the pick and roll now. Jokic can not only not block shots, but just doesn't know what to do in the pick and roll. And he should be taking advantage of Kanter every single game, but he's just not. He's just standing. He's just losing his opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
And I mean, Paul Millsap complained him to Tom Brady. Tom Brady would never get stuck doing something like that. Tom Brady knows where to strike and when to strike. And Jokic in 2 Spurs games knew how to do that. And then since then, it's just been like, well, I guess he's there.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray and Gary Harris have been more impactful than Nikola Jokic in a large majority of these playoff games, and that is not a good sign for the Nuggets.
No, it's not.
But on a good note for the Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr. has been fully cleared. Probably really will not be playing this season.
Not, but it's going to be interesting to see him play next season.
I mean, if he can come back and be that big-time scorer that they need at the wing, like that ISO guy, that's exactly what the Nuggets need. And if they get that out of Porter, they're going to be great.
Yeah.
Greater than they already are. But with our quick playoff discussion out of the way, let's go to some real news. This happened like 4 minutes ago. But D'Angelo Russell caught at LaGuardia with marijuana.
I mean, yeah, it's like, shit happens. Like,
I want to hear Stephen A. Smith about this.
There's gonna be a lot of noise about this, but come on, like it's weed.
Yeah,
it's like he's not the only person. He's not the only.
But this
NBA
is not a good look before your free agency.
No, it's not a good look. But it's like. I mean, like, I highly doubt, like on the article, it says, suspension doesn't happen until 3 violations. I don't think this is going to happen again.
Yeah.
I think, he's definitely not the only person to do it in the league.
I mean, we've been talking about D'Lo's free agency a lot and, like, what's going to happen to him. The Nets supposedly only want to offer at most $25 million a year and would prefer to keep it down to $21 million a year. We talked about a pay cut last week, but we didn't really know the numbers. Now we do. I have been saying I don't think D'Lo is worth a full max contract, and I stand by that. And I think the Nets see that and want to go after Tobias Harris, and will need D'Lo to take a bit of a pay cut to go after Tobias Harris.
I think he will.
And to go after Jimmy Butler and all of that.
I think he will. I think D'Lo's, because 21 mil, 25 mil, it's like, that's still like.
I think the Nets could actually sign and trade D'Lo to the Suns for, like, who knows, like a Mikal Bridges who would flourish in that system.
I don't think the Nets trade D'Angelo Russell.
Really?
Yeah. If they re-sign him, like if he's back on their team after free agency, they don't trade him.
I think it'd be so much of a smarter decision to sign D'Lo to that massive deal, and then swap D'Lo with the Suns for, like. Do you think that the Nets could sign and trade D'Lo, get, like, let's say the Suns fall to the 5th pick, get the 5th pick in Mikal Bridges for D'Lo? I would love that. Seeing that with the Nets would make me so happy. Because, like, look, this may not be a great draft, but having Mikal Bridges in that system would be great. They've proven that they can draft late really well. This draft may not have a lot of superstars, but I think it has great depth. in terms of just finding like good role players.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Mikal Bridges, who's shown that he can shoot the light. But he's a younger Damari Carroll, younger and better Damari Carroll, to me at least. And having that player with Kenny Atkinson shooting a shit ton of threes next to Joe Harris, with the passing ability of Spencer Dinwiddie, I don't think the Nets really need D'Lo.
I think they want D'Lo.
They want him to sell tickets, but they don't need him. And if we're talking about like purely for the team basis, having Dinwiddie there and then having Karis LeVert be able to take back a bigger role like he had before he went down, and Karis LeVert can play point guard. So you keep Dinwiddie in his same role. You give Karis LeVert a bigger role. You have a fifth. Like, you don't commit a lot of money to someone like D'Lo, who has literally only had one great year. Like, there's the whole fear of committing a lot of money to a player that's only had one great year in their contract year. Willie Cauley-Stein had a great year. No one's going to sign him to, like, 20 mil.
No one, yeah, that's true.
Because it's that 1 year. Like, everyone's had that contract year explosion.
Yeah, but also we don't know. Like, this could be the start of,
It could be, but I will hold off on trusting that D'Lo has really turned a corner, just because for me, if it's a change in mindset, I'll trust it. It hasn't been for D'Lo. It's been okay. So the random floaters off one leg have been going in, and
no, he is a much smarter player than he was on the Lakers.
On the Lakers, yes, but you look at. He still has the same problems in terms of mindset of, when should I pass, when should I shoot?
Right, yes, but that's gonna that takes time to work out. But he is definitely becoming a better, smarter basketball player.
A better player, yeah, but to me it's not about his shot selection getting better. It's not about, okay, I can pick out this pass and get him open and go like that, as a point guard should. To me it's just, okay, his scoring went up because his threes started hitting more. And he just started being more consistent of a shooter to me, which is something that can fall off really easily. And at that point, if you still have 16 points per game, D'Angelo Russell, that's not worth $25 million. That's not even worth $20 million.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm worried. I would rather trust a full mindset change where a player has become a smarter player than to Karl Anthony Towns has become a smarter player this past season. I'm going to keep going back to Cat.
Of course you are.
I mean, I have to. Cat has become a much smarter player in terms of picking out cross-court passes because he's tall and is unstoppable in the post, and his passing has gotten better. That's a skill set that has improved instead of just his D'Lo didn't change his shot. It just started hitting more, which sure, that's more reps, whatever, but it's not something that's like a noticeable change in how he thinks the game. And to me, if I'm going to commit a lot of money, I want to be entirely sure that he's going to be able to manage the game and think it through and be smart while he plays. More so than I want a shot maker. I can find shot makers anywhere. Wayne Ellington is going to cost $4 million. And Wayne Ellington may not be able to go off the dribble, but Wayne Ellington can shoot like hell.
He can ball.
Yeah.
For sure.
To me, it's all about I would rather have a smarter player than I guess I could say more accurate player, but that's the biggest thing for me. I think this was a bonehead decision by D'Lo just wait until July, or at least don't be in the airport with it.
I mean, yeah, but it's
you can buy that shit anywhere.
That's true.
You're D'Angelo fucking Russell. You'll have connections.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best look or best news to hear if you're a D'Lo or Nets fan or whatever, but this isn't going to change. This isn't going to really change anything, I don't think.
I think it's definitely a red flag.
Maybe, but
it's OJ Mayo was supposed to be the next rising star.
Yes, but I don't think he's going to be OJ Mayo because of OJ Mayo.
Yeah, I mean, fair. Let's move on. What do you want to go on to? Well, first of all, prayers up to Danny Ainge suffering from a heart attack.
Even though it's minor,
Yep.
and he's expected to make a full recovery, which is good.
And then we have the Suns are probably going to get Monty Williams. The Lakers are slowly running out of candidates. I read an article that if the Lakers do hire Ty Lue wants to bring in Tom Thibodeau as the head assistant, which I think is hilarious because you're going to have a, 35-year-old LeBron James playing 42 minutes a game with an offensive game plan run by Ty Lue, which is going to be, okay, you're going to have the ball the entire game. That's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. I don't care what you put around LeBron. He can't do that.
He cannot. He literally he can't. No one can.
Yeah.
That would be funny though.
LeBron's going to tear his ACL and it's going to be over. That's just what's going to happen. But if the Sun, I don't see the big hype around Monty Williams.
Yeah, neither do I.
He hasn't done too much. He's just been a decent assistant, and I mean that can go really well if you're from the Spurs. But I mean we've seen very little from Monty Williams to show me he can be a head coach, especially for the Lakers and their media circus.
Yeah.
So that's a thing.
That's that.
I also just don't know why anyone would want to work for Robert Sarver, like, period. And then it's not looking great for the Nuggets. I mean, they got Torrey Craig, who's going to be struggling with a broken nose.
Yeah, that
Jamal Murray just hurt his right thigh. It's just it's not
looking too good.
Yeah, look, the Nuggets overperformed this season. But to me, they were always pretenders. Like, at no point did I think they were, A, going to go to the conference finals, or B, win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
They have probably been the weakest 2 seed in history. To me, they just haven't been great. Like, they've been great against the lesser teams, and then when it comes to the bigger teams, you see one game plan, and you're like, okay, you give a team 3 days and, like, 3 days of preparedness for that one team and that one game plan, they'll be fine. And that's what's happening with the Blazers right now. The Spurs was LaMarcus Aldridge and Patty Mills doing whatever they were, not fouling. But,
yeah.
And then, as a Wolves fan, I get to talk about Gerson Rosas.
Go ahead, talk about it.
From the Rockets, which I'm not sure about because as great as the Rockets front office may be, according to most, this past year they've been kind of bad, to say the least. Offering 4 first-round picks for Jimmy Butler, signing a 40-year-old, well, not 40-year-old, but an old-ass Chris Paul to a $140 million contract extension. Like, there were concepts of getting the Nets general manager, the Nets assistant general manager, I forget his name. There were rumors of Chauncey Billups. I didn't like the fit of Chauncey Billups. I mean,
yeah, neither did I.
Former players don't often have a great career as general managers because they see players that are like, oh, well, he can ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's what Elton Brand just did, where like, oh, he can ball. He's a good player. Let me just put them together without thinking of fit. And to me, fit is huge.
Magic Johnson too.
Yep. I mean, I hope this works. I really do. Trying to deal with the Andrew Wiggins albatross is going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
And also the ticking clock of Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta do something this offseason.
Yeah, the Wolves need to really make waves.
I think I've said I think this is the season. Well, this is the offseason that Andrew Wiggins gets traded, just because I genuinely think that the Wolves have had enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, with Rosas being hired, it looks more likely that that Ryan Saunders is going to stay the coach, just because, I mean, anyone from the Rockets line is going to be super high analytics, as is Ryan Saunders. The only other real option for a head coach is Dave Yeager, whatever. And he's. Why would you go out of house when you have an option that everyone loves in house? That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Ryan Saunders may not have had a winning record, but in every game you could see that everyone on the floor was playing their hardest, except for maybe Andrew Wiggins, who did have some great moments, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I would prefer to keep Ryan Saunders. I think it'd be a good move. He's literally made long twos worth negative points in scrimmages, like just by nature of shooting them. It's like -1 in a 24-second. It's a -2.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not great. The Wolves are in a bad situation. I think we could legitimately swap Gorgie Dang for something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if we have to connect like 2 seconds to it, and then we can get like, who knows, we can get J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith for Georgie Dang in 2 seconds. But that's the biggest news for the Wolves. Well, Victor Oladipo isn't going to come back, but we don't have to talk about that. On the topic of surprising trades, let's say, we found a bit of an article, didn't we, Max?
We did.
Bleacher Report: realistic trades to rescue NBA's top young stars.
And they got some good ones.
They do indeed.
This one,
the most interesting one to me is Hassan Whiteside for Kent Bazemore and Alex Len.
I really like that.
I love it.
I love it. I love it for both the Hawks and the Heat. I love it for the Hawks because you now can get Trae Young, John Collins, and Hassan Whiteside, which
yeah,
that could be Lob City Part 2.
I mean, yeah, Whiteside was looking like he was miserable, wasn't going to be great.
Miserable.
To me, the biggest
career was going to die out.
Yeah, to me, the biggest thing was he wants to try and be a new age center, and Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra are just not with it. And look, the Heat want to get Bam Adebayo some more minutes. They want to start rebuilding before they have to give away that pick in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kent Bazemore is going to be a great leader for Josh Richardson, who, after starting the year off on fire, started falling back down to earth. Didn't end up with a great year. They got Derek Jones, who's going to need like someone to just, hey, you don't need to go all out with your athleticism all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you're going to get hurt. It's just, I like this trade.
Yeah.
It's like the Hawks aren't giving much up. It's the same level of salary. It fits needs for both teams. The Heat get a defender and a shooter, which is a big part of what they want to do, that grit and grind type mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Len is whatever. It's whatever it is,
Yeah.
like $3.5 million contract.
He's just a trade.
He's just a part of that.
Yeah.
Trae Young was exceptional after the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
And then his playmaking was the biggest thing. Hassan Whiteside wants touches, so maybe you don't give it to him in the post. You play in the pick and roll, and you just throw up a lob to John Collins. Has shown that he can at least try to hit a three.
Mm-hmm.
He's more comfortable in the mid range, but even then, it's a thing he can do.
But you also the Hawks don't really need John Collins to hit a three just because they have like Kevin Huerter and Trae Young.
Yeah, but if you have Trae Young handling the ball, you do not want two big men running in to catch a lob.
No, I'm saying it would be better if John Collins could shoot the three, but I'm just saying it's not the it's not the biggest thing that the Hawks need to have happen.
To me, a concept they talk about a lot is a Drew Holiday trade, which makes sense with Anthony Davis being going to be traded as soon as possible.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. I mean, I don't think the Pelicans should try to build around Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is going to win you like an extra 8 games a year, let's say. And that's not, you can't have that while you're rebuilding.
Yeah, no.
Like, I know the Pelicans are scared they're going to have to move to Seattle, and they do not want to do that. But like, if you're going to have a chance of staying in New Orleans, you need to have a great team.
Mm-hmm.
And having Anthony Davis's superstar talents was a part of it. So bringing in a new superstar or something like that would be huge.
Yeah, huge.
But you can't, that means you need to win the lottery.
Yeah.
Or you need to find some sort of gem. And that means you cannot be stuck with Drew Holiday winning you an extra 8 to 10 games.
Yeah, no.
So I can see a lot of places. I could see the Bulls. I could see the Suns. All of these teams that desperately need a point guard in a pretty weak point guard draft.
Yeah.
So John Morant is obviously going to be the top prize for every team looking for a point guard. I mean, I even think that Colin Sexton should potentially be moved to shooting guard because he's shown he can hit a three, but that his assist rate and ability to find an open player is just too horrible.
Yeah, it's going. Yeah,
And
it's way down.
Pairing that with RJ Barrett could be a really bad mix.
Yeah, real mistake.
Just pairing two ball dominant players.
Yeah.
Not a great look. I don't know what to say. I mean, it comes down to who's going to get John Morant and who's going to be caught either reaching or trying to trade for someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Bulls are really in a situation where they can't just take best available. They have an absolute stockpile of big men that they can play. Robin Lopez is going to be gone. That's the thing. But, I mean, you have Lowry Markkanen. You have Denzel Valentine, Otto Porter, Wendell Carter, Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn. You're going to try to draft a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
You have all these options. And it's just like, you can't draft by need.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't draft. They're probably going to end up top 5. You can't draft by need with a top 5 pick.
In the top 5, you can't.
And I mean, the Bulls are a team I could look at for trading down.
Mm-hmm.
And taking Kobe White, which I think would be a good look. I know that Kobe White is really hit or miss prospect because he is this like wiry kind of like Tyrannosaurus Rex armed player.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a great leader. He's a floor general. He's really going to do everything you ask of him. And he's going to try hard as hell. And for Jim Boylan, that's a great fit. I've talked about my mock draft before. We don't have to get into that. But Drew Holiday is a name that would probably get moved this offseason. And I think that's really fitting. Another name that might be moved, Mike Conley. Grizzlies tried to blow it up with Marc Gasol at the trade deadline. I mean, Mike Conley's gonna be moving on. Yeah,
but it's like he's old. He's
still got like a good 2 years in the tank though.
Yeah, he's got a good 2 years, but it's like I feel like a Mike Conley trade isn't. It's like
it's you can't give up too much for Mike Conley.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So like if the Jazz want to trade, like the article says, the Jazz get Mike Conley for Derek Favors, Dante Exum, Tony Bradley, and a 2019 first round pick.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Derek Favors has shown he can't coexist with Rudy Gobert. Dante Exum is injured all the time, but has high potential. So, I mean, the Grizzlies are getting this great defensive point guard who can fit in immediately with what they're building, which is essentially just grit and grind part 2.
Yeah, they are lose. Well, so then what do you think happens to Ricky Rubio?
Oh, the Jazz are not bringing back Rubio.
They're not.
Rubio and Mitchell are not a good pairing because Rubio, as much as he's worked on his shot, cannot hit it regularly. So Rubio is just like there to pass to Mitchell, and why would you not just have Mitchell have the ball to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't have Rubio spacing the floor. That's why Mike Conley is a better fit. And to me, the Jazz can say that they're going to go after someone in free agency. They're not going to sign anyone.
No.
I don't think,
or at least not anyone big.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that Kemba could go there.
I think
Kemba would rather go to the Clippers or the Nets or literally anywhere else.
Literally anywhere else.
Like, who else would even think of going to Utah? No one. Chris Middleton. Even that's a stretch.
Yeah.
But if we are going to look at the top free agents, Chris Middleton is really interesting to me. Dallas Mavericks have that. Okay, we got a call. All right. Hello?
Yeah, hey. You hear me?
Yup.
Okay. No fault for interrupting the discussion, but I just want to say I see no way in hell Mike Conley ever leaves because that's too big of a contract. I think they'd be better with getting Kemba Walker and just paying him my money.
But they're not going to get Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker isn't going to want to go to Utah. The Jazz aren't going to sign anyone.
But I feel like it'd be a better, chance of him to try to get for Mike Conley.
I mean, like, they're not giving up much for Mike Conley, so why does it matter as much? Mike Conley's going to be good for the next 2 years.
If that.
But then, like, Kemba Walker isn't going to sign there.
No.
Kemba Walker's either going to stay in Charlotte for all the money on the planet Earth, or he's going to go to the Clippers to be a number 2 to someone, or he's going to go to the Nets. Those are the only 3 options I could realistically see.
Yeah.
Him going to the Jazz makes 0 sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Memphis even pull up a trade like that, just because of the shit that happened with Dylan Brooks before, and how the management there. I don't see them even like be considered.
So they're not even going to try a trade. They're just too scared they'll mess it up again.
I mean, hey, and also, I mean, with the firing Jimmy Bickerstaff too, I just don't think that they're in any spot to be making a trade.
I mean, maybe, but they do have to get something from Mike Conley, or else they're going to be stuck in a worse situation.
Yeah.
I mean, next year the Celtics, the Memphis pick for the Celtics becomes top 5 protected and then top 3 protected. If they keep winning like a decent amount of games, they're going to give up that pick. And that's the Grizzlies cannot afford that. They need to be as bad as possible for a short period of time, get back to their defensive monster ways, and then go from there. And I think step 1 of that is trading Mike Conley. If you can trade Kyle Anderson, who definitely has value for a good team, you do that. I mean, I look at that team, there's like maybe 8 players I would think about keeping, and they're all young.
Yeah.
Triple J, you got Josh, what's his name? Their 2nd round pick, Javon Carter.
Yeah, Javon Carter.
I mean, you look around that team, you don't have much. All right, you got any other questions?
No, I'll see if any other come up, but that's just kind of the point I was trying to make right there. But
All right. Yeah,
Perfect.
no problem.
Thanks for calling in.
And if anyone else wants to call in, the number is 802-440-4668. Again, 802-440-4668. Yep. All right.
Well, on to more news.
Yeah. Well, James Dolan got sued.
It was bound to happen.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so
huge
much.
Knicks fan. This is just like, sue the motherfucker. Like,
get him out of there.
Yeah, exactly. Get him out of here. Honestly, the best thing he could do, like, even for his own career and his own, like, reputation, is just sell the team and, like, not have the word Knicks come out of his mouth.
He could sell the team and then still allow the Knicks to play in Madison Square Garden, and everyone would start to love him.
Exactly.
I mean, and then he could still make money off of selling out tickets in Madison Square Garden.
He would still make a whole lot of money.
It definitely wouldn't be the apparent $75 million that he's made over the past 3 years.
Compared to the average of $17 million for his peers.
Hey, rhymes.
Oh,
but Dolan is being sued for excessive pay, and apparently he's not spending enough time like with the Knicks or in Madison Square Garden, and is actually spending too much time with, you guessed it, his house band.
His house band.
Which, it's not even good.
No, it's not. James Dolan is a mess, and I mean, but it's like it's good that he's not with the Knicks, and like that he's just the owner. Like he thinks of himself as just the owner, and that's it. And like
as bad as James Dolan is, thank God he got involved when he did.
That's also true.
Phil Jackson was like 8 seconds away from trading Porzingis. And I mean, he screwed up the draft anyway. He probably would have traded Porzingis for like a potato.
Yeah.
Like not even pre-made potato chips, just an actual potato. And look, I understand that James Dolan is obviously going to get a higher pay because he actually owns Madison Square Garden, but even then, it doesn't make sense that he's making over 3 times as much.
Yeah.
Like that's nearly 5 times as much. That's not good. And I mean, I'm glad that the Knicks ownership group has finally gotten involved, especially with the summer being so hugely important.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they can pry the Knicks away from Dolan, and somehow Jeff Bezos can get in there, and you get the whole Amazon logo on the jersey.
That would be cool.
Yeah, you have an owner. The whole thing with the Clippers being, oh, they have good ownership and they have an owner who's willing to spend a shit ton of money. The Knicks would go to have that.
Yeah.
Like, the Knicks management has been great over the past few years. As soon as Phil Jackson left, it's been great. Except for maybe the pick of Kevin Knox, but I'm not sure who else you could have taken there. Kevin Knox has been a disappointment. I was a huge fan of him. Hurts me to say, but he hasn't been great. Look, you get Jeff Bezos as an owner. Apparently, he's willing to drop the money on the team, like a blank check for the team.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see the Knicks with good management. Dolan being exiled would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, Max,
Mm-hmm.
will you allow me to take the next 20 minutes to do some football?
Go ahead.
All right.
It's all yours.
Draft happened.
Yes, it
Woo!
did. Yes,
I
it
wish
did.
I was happy as a Giants fan. As great. Well, here's my thing. Our draft after pick 17 was nearly perfect. We got 2 great corners. We got a good wide receiver who's an athletic freak.
Mhm.
The question is just if he loves a cutback route. He loves the 10-yard cutback so much, and he's fast enough and can jump high enough to like do it no matter what. My question is if Daniel Jones really needs to be great with placement, because that's been his problem. Look, Giants, here's my thing. You trade potentially the best nose tackle in the league for a 5th-round pick,
Mm-hmm.
only to draft a nose tackle with a pick you got from an Odell Beckham Jr. trade.
Mm-hmm.
You go Daniel Jones at 6. God knows why. I mean, Josh Allen was right there. Josh Allen is the best edge rusher in this draft, in my opinion. And you just skip him.
Yeah.
And here's my thing. If we would have taken Josh Allen at 6, Daniel Jones falls to 17, or even if he doesn't, we still take Dexter Lawrence at 17, and then instead of trading up at 30 to get what's his name, to get DeAndre Baker, we just sit there and we wait and we get Drew Lock.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
I think every Giants fan would be super excited about that. Or even then, we could have just like traded a bit less for to get DeAndre Baker, and then we could have traded up to take Will Grier, who was taken 100th overall. Like we had 95th overall, at which we got O'Shane Jimenez, great edge rusher. If we took Josh Allen, we wouldn't have needed to draft him. That would have been such a better draft.
Yeah.
Would have been so much better. Instead, Dave Gettleman. Look, I hope Daniel Jones is good, but
yeah.
if he's not, and he gets played halfway through the season, and he's just the disappointment trash player we saw during college, Dave Gettleman is getting fired.
Yeah.
Like, he's out of there.
Absolutely.
And he may have nailed the Saquon Barkley pick, but I see no reason why you take Daniel Jones at 6. If you talk about how, we're not going to draft by need. Every time you draft by need, you get screwed. Sure. Then don't draft by need.
Exactly.
Daniel Jones was not the 6th best player on your board. He shouldn't have been. Josh Allen was the 4th best player on my board. I only had, he was my 3rd. Yeah, he was my 3rd. The only reason he fell to 6, to 7 even, was because just like I said they would, the Buccaneers went linebacker. Kyler Murray went first, which I think was a bad decision. Nick Bosa is the best player in this draft, in my opinion. Quinnen Williams is close too. And Josh Allen is an athletic freak and an incredible edge rusher. And the fact that the Jaguars got him at 6 and then got Jawan Taylor in the 2nd round is crazy to me. They have potentially the best draft this year just by sitting there and going, okay, I guess so. Like, people can say the Redskins nailed the draft. They got great value out of their picks without having to move up. Dwayne Haskins and Montez Sweat are great. Montez Sweat, if it weren't for his injury concerns, would have gotten top 15.
Yeah.
But it's not great. It's really not. In terms of picks that I really love, Nick Bosa I think the 49ers are now Super Bowl contenders, more so than the Browns, in my opinion, just because the 49ers now have a great defensive line, and if Jimmy Garoppolo can return to form, they have a great offense there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just there's so many weapons.
Yeah.
The Jets took who I think they should have, which is surprising to say about the Jets. They got potentially the best player in the draft at number 3. That defense is now incredible. The question is, what can Sam Darnold do with that atrocious offense? I know they got Le'Veon Bell. That should help. But at the same time, Le'Veon Bell hasn't played NFL football for a full year.
Mm-hmm.
How good is Le'Veon Bell actually going to be after 1 year sitting out? He's going to have to play himself into form, that's for sure. He looks fat.
Yeah.
He looks out of shape, overweight, all of that. Other picks I love that the Bills took Ed Oliver. That's great value at that pick. What was it? The Broncos trading back from 10. Incredibly smart move. At the same time, Steelers trading up from 20. Great move. Both teams did great there.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos got who I thought they should. I thought they should go tight end. TJ Hawkinson could have been there, could have fallen there if it weren't for the Lions. But getting Noah Fant, who was my second best tight end, great look.
Mm-hmm.
I think tight end in this class maybe shouldn't have been a first round pick, just because there was great depth in this class in terms of tight end, to the point that you could have gotten Irv Smith Jr. later on.
Yeah.
But Noah Fant is a great pick. On the Steelers side, Devin Bush can be your new Ryan Shazier.
Mm-hmm.
That's the obvious comparison. After Ryan Shazier went down, the Steelers' whole defense just couldn't do anything. The Steelers love moving their D linemen around a lot, and Ryan Shazier made that possible because he was kind of like, okay, D linemen can move around. They can be 2 seconds late post snap, and I will be there to make sure that nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
And if Devin Bush can be that, which he definitely could be, that's what they need. And all the eyes are going to be on the Steelers this year.
Yeah.
Just because Big Ben, the contract extension, I don't really agree with the timing it now. It kind of feels like, oh, because of what you did, not because of what you will do, which is very similar to what the Giants did with Eli last year. You can say Eli had stuff left in the tank last year, but it feels less and less likely.
Yeah.
I think Eli is going to be starting for the first 4 weeks. That's going to be a send-off.
Yeah.
Um,
You think he retires after the season?
I think he should.
Yeah,
I think it's possible the Giants actually trade Eli Manning. Look, if someone gets injured, Eli Manning can still be a starter.
No, who's taking Eli Manning?
Eli Manning is going to be an expiring deal. Is going to retire anyway.
No, he's just expiring, period.
Well, look, think about it. Think of a decent playoff team that has an injury-prone quarterback. Texans. The Texans don't have a QB2. If Deshaun Watson gets hurt again, the Texans could actually trade like
but Eli Manning,
5th or 6th round pick for Eli Manning just to slot in. Eli Manning, say what you will about him, can still throw the ball.
Yeah, he cannot do.
He can't do what Deshaun Watson does.
Can do.
But look, the Texans made their offensive line so much better that I could legitimately see it happening, and I think that'd be hilarious for Texans fans. Just because they
just have Eli Manning.
Yeah, well, they'd only have Eli Manning for 1 year.
Do you think Eli Manning makes the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
He is part of 2 of the most iconic Super Bowl runs ever.
That's true.
He has... Where is he in the total yards? I'm sure he's pretty high. But, like... it's just... I think he deserves it. At the end of the day, he really does. Okay, here we go. List of NFL career blah blah blah. Eli is number 7 right now, with 55,000. He's definitely going to get past Ben. Well, actually no. Ben and Eli are both currently still playing. I don't think Eli can get the 6,000 yards he'd need to pass Dan Marino. So it looks like he's gonna either stay at 7 or go down to 8. If Phillip Rivers passes him. But still, that's top 10 in passing yards in his career. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. Part of one of the most iconic games ever in the 2007 2007 Super Bowl, and then and an incredible story in the 2011 Super Bowl. So he's done. Even then, he's just like he's such a great name. Like I think some of Peyton's greatness will be like kind of pushed onto Eli and be like, yeah, look, he was also great. That he's gonna make the Hall of Fame to me, and I think he deserves it.
Yeah.
I love Eli. I hate how he plays now, but I absolutely love Eli. All right, well, I think the biggest winners of the NFL draft this year, to me, Jaguars are my best draft in the whole class.
Mm-hmm.
I love what the Packers did. The Packers went defense,
Mm-hmm.
which is, what you need to do when you have, like, Aaron Rodgers can play great as long as he has a great defense because he can bail you out offensively sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And you also went full balls to the wall on drafting receivers last year. So it makes sense to me. Panthers got a steal with Brian Burns, in my opinion. To me, the biggest losers of this draft, I gotta say the Raiders. The Raiders made a lot of questionable choices. Going running back in this class was not something I really liked. This was a really weak running back class. Josh Jacobs is a thing, I guess, but it's not ideal. Giants. Whether the Giants are winners or losers depends ultimately on how good Daniel Jones is.
Correct.
That's it. That's the biggest thing because the rest of the draft is good.
Yeah.
It's like really decent. We got a steal in whatever his name is, Love, the quarterback. Where is he from? I don't remember. He's a steal. I think the Redskins got a great class. I think a lot of people are overrating how good of a class it was just because Dwayne Haskins probably not going to be starting year one. I think the Redskins are a super volatile situation. Montez Sweat, on the other hand, potentially the best, potentially one of the best defensive ends in this class. I mean, I know you got Nick Bosa, but I think Montez Sweat may be better than Cleveland Farrell. And considering they are, 22 picks apart, that's a pretty good value, let's say.
Yeah.
But this draft is going to be confusing. I think Christian Wilkins to the Dolphins is a move that a lot of people should really look at. A lot of people are talking about how the Dolphins are going to tank, and that's it. I think Christian Wilkins is going to make it as hard as possible for the Dolphins to want to tank.
Yeah.
Like, Christian Wilkins is a great locker room guy.
Mm.
I would have been more comfortable taking Christian Wilkins at 6 than Daniel Jones, being honest.
Really?
But also, I want to talk about how I think the Cardinals made a mistake by drafting Kyler again.
Okay.
Just because it makes last year's draft a complete waste. It makes picking Josh Rosen useless.
Yeah.
And it just means you sunk a 10th overall pick for a second rounder and a fourth rounder. And then paid his signing bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So you paid half his contract and then moved back whatever it is, like 28 picks. And that was it. I that's stupid to me.
Yeah.
That's really stupid. I mean, I think Josh Rosen just needed an offensive line. I saw things from Josh Rosen that would be good anyway. The only thing Kyler Murray has on Josh Rosen is mobility. And, I mean, why do that? Why draft for me, I draft by need really often. And I know Dave Gettleman is against it, quote unquote, as much as he may say it, as much as I doubt it. But it's defensive playmakers are hard to come by, especially at the caliber of Quinnen Williams or Nick Bosa.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the Cardinals passed on either of those players to get a quarterback who I'm not sure on, like, he can be great, or he can just, be too small to throw the ball over his offensive line.
Yeah.
It's
ridiculous.
It feels like a reach, even though I know he wouldn't have fallen past 3. Like, I think you gotta at least, like, the growing cycle for quarterbacks is supposed to be the longest of any position because they need to figure out how to play in the NFL. But they gave up after Josh Rosen after 1 year. Josh Rosen is a good quarterback. Say what you will about what he did. He's a good quarterback. He's not trash. He's not a bust as far as we know. But I feel bad for him now because if the Giants let Daniel Jones slide, Broncos probably take him. And then just because the Broncos have a thing for both Senior Bowl MVPs and for tall quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And you look around and you just think, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, what's going on?
Like, to me, the Bengals could have taken a quarterback. They took Jonah Williams instead. That means they believe in Andy Dalton. Jonah Williams was a great offensive lineman. I actually thought Jawan Taylor was a better offensive lineman, but here we are. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of offensive linemen went, and there was a big need for them too, especially with the Vikings who need to protect Kirk Cousins. This draft was just not a lot of flashy names, more so a lot of impact players.
Right.
Which is an interesting thing to see. You want to go back to basketball for the last 5 minutes?
Yeah, sure. Basketball 5.
Basketball 5. The B-ball back end. Who knows?
I don't know.
I mean, what we got to look at. James Harden got hit in the eye.
That was
proceeded to look like he was smacked off his mind.
Very high.
People just keep taking this as more evidence as, Draymond Green is a dirty player. Look at the play. It wasn't dirty.
Yeah.
It was incidental. I hate James Harden. I hate him so fucking much.
Yeah.
But
he's really annoying.
Yeah, he just complains too much.
Yeah.
I don't know what we got to talk about as much. There's
I feel like we talked about everything.
Yeah, it is today the 1 year anniversary of Isaiah Thomas dropping 53 for his sister. Mm-hmm. Too bad he's not gonna play again, potentially in the league. Melo was quoted saying that, asked if he would go back to the Knicks. You called this 2 weeks ago or something. Mm-hmm. Melo going back to the Knicks would be the peak of comedy to me. It'd be so good.
I told you 2 weeks ago. I told you he might come back.
I mean, yeah.
I would love that. I would love to see Melo back in a Knick. He retires as a Knick. He plays 1 season maybe, if that.
Yeah.
Then retires as a Knick. Gets his jersey in the rafters.
You think the Knicks retire his number?
Absolutely.
He brought them no success.
No, absolutely.
We really should have started talking about this earlier.
Yeah, we should. We could talk about this next week, but I 100% believe in my heart of heart that Carmelo Anthony's number is going to be in the rafters.
I don't think it should be, being honest. But hey, Greg Oden made the big 3. What a nice story.
What a Well, at least we have that going for us.
Yeah, we were able to see Greg Oden play again. He'll be able to play the first 5 minutes and then he'll get hurt. It's good to know. Steph also dislocated his finger. These are all playoff stories. Playoffs are going to be interesting in the second round right now. I'm so burnt out on talking about them because we say the same thing every time.
We really talk about
For the Nuggets, it's the weakness of Jokic in the pick and roll. For the Blazers, it's what are they going to do defensively for the pick and roll, and how are CJ and Dame going to carry the load? Warriors, can they be good and not hate each other? Rockets, can they get calls? Bucks, how good is Giannis going to be? Are other people going to make shots? Celtics, can they coexist? Sixers, can they coexist? Raptors, can anyone but Kawhi and Siakam do anything? Exactly. That's the rundown. That's what it comes down to in the playoffs.
Yeah, we just did every show.
Boom. Done.
Perfect.
Just
there it is.
Yeah.
You want to wrap it up?
Sure. I mean, we should have stuff going up on the Insta eventually.
The Insta
draft lottery is in a week or 2.
Mm-hmm. Excited for that.
We'll definitely talk after that.
Yep.
Because that's how all the prospect.
That's how everything
changes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm trying to get the Timberwolves to I'm hoping they get the second pick, but We can talk about that another time.
We can.
Until next week, I'm Tilo.
I'm Max.
This is BSPN.
Come back next week, same times. 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 Come back next week.